Okay. Well, growing up, I did not like the name Walker. It's an unusual first name. I have two last names. In fact, people get it mixed up all the time. They call me Mr. Walker. I go to the hotel and check in, and I said, I have a reservation. My name is Walker Moore. They look at the computer and say, well, we don't have reservations for you. I said, well, I have a reservation number. They said, well, we don't have one for you. I said, by chance, is there a Moore Walker in the computer? And they look in the computer and say, yeah, there is. I said, well, I'll take his place. He's not showing up. But I'm going to tell you, it's the greatest name to have as a missionary. It is the greatest name in the world of any name. If you want to name a child to become a missionary, name him Walker or her Walker. It's a great missionary name. Right after the Tiananmen Square uprising in China, and I know many of you remember that when that happened, I was invited by the Communist Party. Hang Wenzhou, the vice president of China, invited me in to help them to straighten up the rebellion in China. I just wrote a book on the rebellion of teenagers in America called You Want to Pierce What? And the Chinese got a hold of it, and I get a call from the vice president of China, Hang Wenzhou, says, please come over and help us to straighten out the rebellion of our teenagers in China. Well, I didn't want to go to China because I do not like Chinese food. It's my least favorite of all my food in the world is Chinese. And now I like real food like steak and baked potato and burritos and those kind of things. But I remember the first time I ate real Chinese food was in Singapore, and I was at this Chinese restaurant, and they had real Chinese food, and they had what's called fat noodles or Teflon coated. And I had my chopstick. I got almost to my mouth, and I slipped, and I shot the noodle across the restaurant. And all the Chinese go, and I'm shooting noodles everywhere. And so when I got the call to go to China, I didn't want to go, but you know how God does. Never pray not to go anywhere, because you'll end up in that place. So I flew to China, got to Beijing. I have a diplomatic passport for China, and I get the royal treatment. I got off the airplane. I do not go through customs or anything else because I have a diplomatic passport. I walked into the diplomat room, and there's Hang Wenzhou, the vice president of China. I reached out my hand, and I said, my name is Walker. And he goes, Walker, Texas Ranger. Walker, Texas Ranger, you know. And he just, oh, Walker, Texas Ranger, you know. And I heard he has all these little stoolies that does the work for him. You ever been to China? This one guy, Hang Wenzhou, got like 10 people, his entourage, and they all go, oh, Walker, Texas Ranger, Walker, Texas Ranger, walk, all the way down the line, you know. And next thing I know, I am everywhere in China I go. They introduce me as Walker, Texas Ranger, not Walker Moore, not Walker anything else. And I have gone from north to east to west to south in China, all over China. And everywhere I go, I am famous because my first name is Walker. And God has opened literally thousands of doors. And I've preached all across China. I've been in trouble in China for preaching so much. Got held behind, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to tell you, God knew what He was doing when He gave me the name Walker. Well, I've been living in Peru. I just came out of the jungles. I've been living in the Panama jungles with the Imbira Peru people group on the Costa Rica border and stuff. And before that, I was in Peru, and I went to a city called Piura, Peru. It's in the northern part. If you know anything about Peru, the top part is called the Dark Corridor, from Chiclayo, Trujillo, all the way up to the city of Tumbas. And that is the least evangelized part of all of Peru. I got to the city, I took a 17-hour bus overnight, and if you've ever been on an overnight bus in Peru, you know what I'm talking about, you know. You just pray for Jesus to come back every 5 seconds, you know, and finally get to Piura, get off, and there's this huge crowd, I mean thousands of people in this crowd, and I just have this infinity. God puts crowds together for Walker Moore. I just believe that, you know. And they had a stage for me. I thought, that's nice, you know, they have a stage waiting for me. Now, they did not know I was coming, but I knew I was coming, and I just know God knows I'm coming, so He sets those things up. Well, I get up on stage to begin to speak, and to the crowd and stuff, to thousands of people there, and next thing I know, 2 policemen come up, and they handcuff me and haul me off. Well, that's all right. You know, most countries, God gives you opportunity to preach in prison as well as out of prison, and so I went in the car, police car, they said, who are you? I said, my name is Walker. And they go, Walker, Texas Ranger? It happens once, it happens 1,000 times. That show is worldwide. Did you know that? It is popular. I have yet to see one episode of it, but it is popular all around the world. In fact, not too long ago, I got a package in the mail, and it was from Chuck Norris. He's a believer in the Lord, if you don't know it. And he said, to the real Walker Texas Ranger, and he sent me a Walker Texas Ranger jacket. Okay? So I'm in the police car in this city of Peoria, and as I'm talking to the police officer, he says, what do you have to do with the riot? I said, what riot? He says, oh, you see the crowd? I said, yes. If you don't know about Peru, it's in turmoil right now with the president election coming up, and in a few weeks they have the re-election of the election. And in fact, when I was there, the Japanese was in charge, the president of Peru, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's in terrible. Inflation 7,000%. It is in trouble, the country of Peru. And they said, well, there's a national riot getting ready to take place in this city, and people from all over Peru has gathered to protest against the government. Well, I said, well, I did not know this was a riot. I said, oh, I've never been in a riot before. I think it'd be kind of cool, hey, protesting. And then national CNN News, there's Walker Moore on TV, and I said, no, I came here to tell people about the good news of Jesus Christ. Now, you understand, what I do is I take students overseas, and my job is to raise up the next generation of missionaries. So I have students 13 years old that spend as much as 8 weeks living in the mountains of Kilimanjaro or in the Andes and stuff, and they go for a long time, just like Troy did when he was much younger, and go train them to live the lifestyle of a missionary. Now, you don't know who I am. You've never heard of Walker Moore before, but you know the people I've trained. I used to have a group of guys that traveled with me everywhere. We called them All-Star Band. They went overseas. They played music for me, and they have a new name now. I'm mad at them because they changed their name. They're called Mercy Me. Okay? I founded Mercy Me. Okay? They came out. It was called the All-Star Band. In fact, they just have a new album came out last week. How many has bought that album? You're all out of God's will. It's a mission album. And the last song is called Die For You on the album. And we had a 15-year-old kid who gave his life for the gospel this summer, 15-year-old B.J. Higgins. If you've not heard about PrayForBJ.com, you need to go there. So anyway, as I was being hauled off by the police, I turned to 16-year-old Skylar Miller, and I said, take over. And when they haul you off, pass it on to somebody else until everybody's arrested and we're all in the same car. Just keep on preaching. So I'm sitting in the car, and I looked up, and they let me out because they said, I'm not here, Skylar was given the invitation, and all of a sudden the Holy Spirit came across that crowd. People started getting saved, and the next thing you know, the riot did not take place. We stopped the riot. Well, every TV camera was there from Lima and Machu Picchu and all the rest, the cities in Peru were there to film the 5 o'clock news, the riot. And now all the camera people sitting there, and they got their microphones, they don't know what to do. They have nothing to send back to their local station. So I get out of the car and undo my handcuffs. The next thing I know, all the TV camera are in my face. And the guy said, in Spanish, who are you that can stop riots? I said, my name is Walker. And everyone said what? Walker, Texas Ranger? That was immediately they said, Walker, Texas Ranger. The next thing I heard in Spanish, Walker, Texas Ranger, Walker, Texas Ranger, And they're going through this whole thing about Walker, Texas Ranger. Well, I used to live in Texas, Mesquite, Texas, and my wife owns a cooking range, so we can put that together, can't we? And they said, who are you who can stop riots? Well, again, I like crowds. I think gospel is to go to the masses. And so I said, well, let me tell you why men riot. When the creation is out of sync with their Creator, man does not know what to do with themselves. And only when we discover why we're created and why our Creator made us to have fellowship with Him, then we have peace. And the reason the people are rioting is not because of the government, but because they don't have peace in their heart. Well, next thing I know, I sit down on national television, all these shows, I get a call within about 10 minutes from the Minister of Ports Authority in Peru. It's the longest coastline, third longest coastline in the world, Peru is. And he said, I'm in charge of all the seaports, all the way down from top to bottom, Peru. He said, you'll come to my city on Saturday, Paita, and we'll have command performance, and you need to tell people why they riot. I said, okay, I'll come. I show up, he has 20,000 people waiting in a stadium for me, and they're all waiting for Walker, Texas Ranger to show up to their city. Well, for the next 30 days, I'm going to tell you, I was on TV every day, It got so ridiculous, I was standing in a city called Morapan with a donkey I'm riding. I'm sitting there, and this bus comes by, Peruvian bus, people hanging off the bus, you know, and I hear them yelling, Waka, Texas Ranger, Waka, Texas Ranger. And I said, how in the world in the mountains of Morapan do they know who Walker, Texas Ranger is? Well, out of that, over 5,000 people came to know Christ in that short time. I had to start a seminary in the city of Piura. We're training pastors, just like you saw here, try to keep up with what God is doing in that part of the world, just because my first name is Walker. Now, I'm going to tell you, God has a plan for everything.